question this morning. Of course, it's covering what's happening overseas with Israel and Iran. So many of you have chimed in. We have over 1,000 already comments on that poll. And right now, it's like neck and neck. It's really like 50-50 in terms of people who support what the president decided to do over the weekend and those who do not. To give you an idea of what we have coming up, and please chime in with some of your comments in our chat box, because with Ron off, you at home or wherever you're watching and hanging with us, you are the co-host this morning, and we love answering your questions and hearing from you and where you all are watching from this morning. But we're covering, of course, what's happening with Israel and Iran, and that is our poll question this morning. And we're also chatting with an expert from Cornell University about that very issue. He's a professor there at Cornell and an expert. He's written this amazing book called Jews versus Rome. But this morning, we're going to start with a big investigation, a money laundering case this morning. Captain Trevor Graff is here in studio with us. Good morning, Captain. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. If you can give us a little bit of background on this investigation, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And a lot of people have been, if you can lean into that microphone for me, my friend. Thank you so much. I think what people are also looking into, this has to do with a very popular app where people are renting vehicles as well.
Correct.
Yeah. So take us to the beginning and how this whole investigation began.
So back in November of last year, our detectives with the Auto Theft Task Force got some information on a Cadillac Escalade that we believed had the VIN numbers switched, and it was registered to another person. It was actually a stolen vehicle with fictitious VIN. When they actually identified the vehicle, they found out that it was an actual stolen vehicle with the VIN numbers switched. So we started digging into that car, and it was registered to a company called AAA Luxury Rentals.
Okay.
When we started diving into that company, we found several other vehicles that we believed had altered VINs on them. And they were renting them out on the Turo platform. And we identified so far 29 vehicles that he had VIN switched and registered that were stolen vehicles that he was renting out.
You know, some of the video that we're looking at here from DPS, and these are the three individuals I think that you guys are investigating, right?
Correct.
Those are high dollar vehicles. I think when you all first started looking into it and some of the videos showed, I thought, my goodness, I think I saw a Rolls Royce or like high dollar vehicles.
There's Aston Martins, G-Wagons, Corvettes, high trim Escalades, Yukon Denali's, Jeeps, all those, yeah.
And so how did, I think we saw video of you all, and we had audio as well not too long ago, I think it was last week, of you guys approaching the house. You guys find out that this is happening, investigation ensues, and then what happens next in terms of finding these three individuals?
So we knew where the majority of the cars were. Turo is a fantastic partner to work with. They assisted every step of this, so we were able to identify where the vehicles were so we could recover them easier. We actually, on Tuesday of last week, we served 7 search warrants on 6 different locations. And we knew primarily where our suspects were at the time. Our third suspect, we knew where he lived because we did background on him and we picked him up there. So we knew where they were at when we went to arrest him.
And then those other two, the same thing, you knew where they were at?
Yeah, the female and Ali, our main suspect, they were arrested at the same location, and the other one was the third-party MVD agent.
What does this tell you maybe about, I guess, vehicles on platforms like this? I mean, for the consumer, like for people who are watching, some of them have used Turo, others have not. Brandy, the bookworm, I'll share what she says. Thank you for sharing, Brandy. She says, I'm still blown away that these car thieves were taking cars that had built-in trackers and someone at the MVD helping. I think in cases like this, you think, wow, it was partly an inside job.
So I will start out by saying he wasn't an MVD agent. He was a third-party MVD agent.
Oh, he was.
So this is one of the independent contractors.
Oh, the ones you see in like the strip malls.
Correct.
And things. Oh,
so it's not a legitimate MVD. It's not an ADOT employee.
Good point. Thank you. And Brandy, thank you. That was a great question, by the way, because it clears up that.
Right. And even though he admitted that, he did no wrong, he was also getting a substantial tip every time he registered a vehicle for him. So
when you say a tip, Like when I worked my way through college and
Mhm.
I in restaurant business, and if I got like an 18% tip, it was like a really good day. What type of tip are you talking about?
Couple $100
Wow, every time.
every time. Yeah.
Goodness. And so how many vehicles are we talking about, or how many tips do you think are you guys looking into?
We're looking into around 34, 35 of them.
Yeah. Are there any concerns with the general public renting? And you said Turo was a very good partner, and I'm sure they were just as floored as you guys were in the middle of the investigation. What should you do as a consumer to make sure that, or is there anything you can do if there's a situation like this that could be happening?
So what I'll say is that the majority of the cars that you're going to get on these rental platforms,
Mhm.
there are safeties in place. And I can't really explain what they are, otherwise I'm going to tell everybody how to defeat these.
Right.
But there are safeties in place to ensure the vehicles are legitimate.
Okay.
Turo was able to identify that they weren't, and they became a really good partner
Yeah.
for us. But there are safeguards in place for that to prevent it from happening. But I will tell you that the renters that rented these vehicles, they were never in any danger.
Yeah.
I mean, the vehicles were brought over here, their VIN numbers were switched, the federal labels on the doors were switched out, they were registered legally. So if the average officer pulls the car over, he's not going to know it's stolen because the records all come back clean, the
Oh,
VIN numbers all
interesting.
match.
So even the officers who may have pulled someone over, they may not even know.
Correct. And unless you've been trained on how to identify these cars and look into certain databases that we have, there's no way they would have been able to tell that it was an illegitimate car.
How often have you seen a situation that was, I guess, this advanced? I mean, to have someone, I guess, not at the MVD, but somebody who's connected, in that way a little bit. Also to have someone who's able to switch out VIN numbers. Like if you think about the vehicle VIN number, that seems like a pretty difficult task.
It is a difficult task. Unfortunately, the bad guys are getting better and better at what they do. We do have, quite often we find VIN switched vehicles.
Right.
But in this case, he had an actual person coming up from Mexico. After he would get a new stolen vehicle, a person from Mexico would come up, go into the garage with the car, spend the day with the car,
Yeah.
and then leave. And the car would be registered the next day because he spent the whole day VIN switching the car. It was a pretty technical operation.
How much money do you think was generated? I'm trying to remember if your agency had released the amount. How much money are we talking about in terms of what's been generated as a result of the criminal activity?
So for this calendar year, just for 2025, just off of the rentals that we have is $160,000 through Turo
Wow.
Rentals.
And we're just about halfway through
Correct.
the year. Yeah. I do have another question here from Brandy the Bookworm. Aren't VIN numbers etched into the metal? How did they actually do it?
So the VIN numbers that are up on the dashboard that you can see when you look through your windshield, those are actually riveted or glued onto the dashboard. They're
Oh,
not actually etched in.
they just look like it.
Correct. And then the VIN number, the federal label on the door is just a sticker. So they would actually make a counterfeit sticker, peel that one off, put the new one over it, put a new VIN number with new rivets on the dashboard. And to the layperson, it appears like a legitimate car.
And what happens to the people whose vehicles they were? Like, are they alerted that this is in fact their vehicle is there any way to track down the original owners?
Yeah, so when we identified the cars, the day after we did the operation, we spent the entire day out
Yeah.
actually physically identifying cars, verifying the true factual VIN numbers.
Wow.
We contact the insurance companies or the owners, whoever owns the vehicle now, that the vehicle's been recovered.
Wow. And how long ago had the vehicles been stolen? Do we know? Is there?
Some of them were in November-ish of last year. That the first one that we recovered had only been stolen for a few weeks when we identified it. But the other ones up to a month ago.
Right.
So it wasn't.
It wasn't like 6 months or a year or something
Some
like
of
that.
them have been stolen since November.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
how we got. I mean,
That's the beginning.
right. That's
That's
the
the beginning.
beginning, and he's gotten several vehicles since we started the investigation. So.
Awesome. Well, Captain Trevor Graff, thank you for all you do.
course.
with Arizona DPS. And thank you for
course.
coming in studio and hanging with us and giving us the details on that investigation.
Of course, anytime.
He went to Trevor High School, by the way. He's a Phoenix local.
I am.
Mom and Dad, I'm sure, are very proud. Thank you so much, Captain. We appreciate it. Thank you. We are going to go. A couple of you have chimed in, and you've been talking about, hey, what is happening overseas with Iran and Israel. Let me go to the poll question this morning right now. Should the United States have bombed Iran? Yes, Donald Trump made the right call and did what he needed to do. 86% of you say that. No, we may now face dangerous consequences for involving ourselves. Captain, thank you so much. Have a great day. We appreciate it. 13% of you said no. 87% of you said yes. And we are seeing hundreds and hundreds of comments. Some of you have chimed in this morning and said, hey, are we talking about what's happening overseas? And we absolutely are. Coming up in just a brief moment, after a quick break, I'm going to go to the mystery camera right now as well and show you this one. Beautiful shot there, kind of cloudy day. Coming up after a quick break, we are going to be chatting with a professor from Cornell University, and he wrote a book called Jews versus Rome, and it's about Israel and Iran and what's happening overseas as well. He is a pretty amazing guy, and so we're going to chat with him. But this is a quick look at your mystery camera, and I believe we're going to go to the YouTube poll question as well. So this one has 976 votes at this time as well as we talk about this topic. Yes, 50% of you. It's really neck and neck when it comes to the number of people. Look at this, 1.1. Dave, thank you so much. Big D. He's in the house right now. He is actually just refreshing this. We love hearing from you guys, by the way. Thank you for your questions for our first guest. We are going to have another guest coming up in a little bit, but let me go to your mystery camera. Dave, did we want to do comments now or later? Later. Okay, thanks, buddy. Okay, here is a quick look at your mystery camera. It looks like we have a little beetle. We have a little beetle on the screen. Give us your thoughts, and in our chat box here, where is this? It's a little cloudy. It looks like they've got water. Not a whole ton of wind. Not raining just yet. I have my guess, I think. B. Miguel says Canada already. And a good morning to all of you, by the way, and thank you for joining us. And there is a quick look at your mystery camera. Please leave your guesses inside. Oh, there's some birds probably looking to eat maybe that little buggeroo hanging on the screen. And so we'll take a quick break. We will be right back. We'll leave you with this image of our mystery camera, and we'll be back with the answer after the break. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. You are looking at live this morning. By the way, if you're new to the chat, please let us know where you're watching from. This is Fox 10 Talks in Phoenix, Arizona, in our Fox 10 studios. And Ron is off today, but we like to call it the friendliest chat on YouTube. And so this is a very welcoming, of course, community. We love hearing from you in the chat. And let's see. Okay, so we have a couple of guesses. This is our mystery camera. Where do you think this is located? We have Canada. Jen's Wall says Canada. Rhode Island from Husky Mom. And yes, we did have a spider. It looked like a spider up there, so on the screen, but it looks like it's gone for now. So Guadalupe Camarillo says Oregon. Linda Monter says upstate New York. Ethan D said maybe Oregon. And so we have Oregon. We've got some Rhode Islands. Let's see. I'm going to go with this one. Oh, there's the spider. I think he's back. Oh, you can see all of his legs. You're right. You guys are good. I'm going to go Oregon. I'm going to go Oregon as well. Okay, let's go ahead and give you your answer on the mystery camera. Oh, you guys are right. Whoever said this was Canada, Vancouver, BC. What a pretty day in Vancouver it is this morning. Thank you all for joining. All right, let's go back and we'll get one last look here at your mystery camera this morning. Thank you all for chiming in and sharing. This morning, we are going to be bringing in Justin Lum with us this morning. Justin, good to see you, buddy. Investigative journalist.
That I'm on live now on Fox 10 Talks with Syleste, so people will join in the next few seconds.
Oh, I love it.
Just like that.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. We chatted with you on the air this morning, and I always love chatting with you. I think you're the smartest guy in the newsroom. For a lot of different reasons. And
Thank you.
But you have done an amazing work with your investigations. And, of course, we know you from your work with the Lori Vallow case, the Daybell case. And many of you, if you have questions for Justin on that case or any others, please chime in the chat. This recent one that you're working on, though, it has to do with some unlicensed group homes.
Yeah, this is a topic that we've covered really since the beginning of 2023 regarding access and the whole Medicaid fraud scandal for $2.5 billion, where thousands of vulnerable Native Americans fighting addiction were taken advantage of for their benefits and housed in either unlicensed group homes or sober living homes, and basically transported and shuffled to clinics and provided services that were never really rendered. Meanwhile, the state was paying the providers. So there was a huge crackdown. In this case, we sort of have another nightmare story where a 24-year-old man was stabbed to death 21 times. His name is Reno Caddo. He was trying to get his life on track, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of regulation still, even with everything has gone on. But this young man was rooming with a convicted felon named Glenn Peaches. Glenn Peaches is a convicted felon who served time for manslaughter, and he's accused of stabbing Reno Caddo to death after a fight. And so the family wants not just justice, but accountability and to spotlight, why was this allowed to happen? Where are the checks and balances? And so we've obtained new police records, body camera footage, the aftermath of it all, the full police report, the 911 audio. And just to give a disclaimer for everyone, we have reached out to the clinic. The clinic is not under any criminal investigation, nor has it been suspended by Access. Usually Access handles fraudulent allegations and will suspend providers, but just want to make that clear. The clinic, all we know is that, it was believed to have placed these Native Americans in this home in Goodyear.
Yeah, we got a lot of good morning to Justin's in the chat box this morning. So people appreciate all your work that you've done on this case. I think what you explained on the air was interesting in that I asked you, I said, how is the group home unlicensed but still able to apply for like access funding or anything like that? And you made a good point, and you said it was the connection to the clinic. Can you explain that again?
So basically, for the past, since 2019, that's the problem, is finding out where these homes are. Because how do you know if it hasn't been reported?
And
it could be right next door to you.
Exactly. They're in communities all around the valley.
And the people can be moved. So we're just talking about the bad actors that, we've covered, the alleged bad actors throughout the years, not specifically this case. But let's say you have this home here in Goodyear.
This is cold brew, by the way.
This is
cold brew. It's not happy hour yet.
Yeah, but you have this home here and you place people there, and you could move the people from this home to this home. All that matters is that they end up here
Right.
in this clinic and get the services to bill the state for. But keeping them with that provider's group home or sober living home basically keeps control of the situation.
Yeah.
Now, there are some good situations, there are bad situations, and some in the middle. But that's how the scheme works: is that you need a behavioral health provider to bill the state. Now, Access has cracked down on it a lot and hasn't paid out the money that it was used to paying.
Right.
Attorney General Chris Mays called this the biggest scandal in Arizona and said we need to shut off the spigot and stop paying. But at the same time, vulnerable people do need the services.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's trying to find the medium, the balance there.
So I have a couple of quick questions for you out of the chat box. One, did he have the suspect, I guess the man, any sort of mental health issues that would have been a red flag?
You know what? That's a great question. Reading through this
It's
police
coming from
report.
Brandy the bookworm, by the way.
Thank you, Brandy. So in the police report, both men had, mental health issues, whether it was PTSD, or it was alcoholism or things like that. That they had some sort of history, some health history, that there were red flags. And the problem is, there was a house manager, a so-called house manager, was also a co-ed group home, unlicensed, had been there for 10 days leading up to the murder.
Right.
The roommates had lived in Levine months before. So they move in and nobody really knows that they moved in, and the state doesn't know. So if the state doesn't know, then there's no response to them being unlicensed.
Exactly.
Usually they find out when something bad has happened. In this case, Reno was stabbed 21 times, and Peaches calls it self-defense in the police report. Now, there was a witness that talked about him making threats in the past and talked about
Yes.
getting violent. So we are able to unveil more of the red flags and more answers for the family. What led up to this? How did this turn south?
Yeah.
So I think it exposes deeper issues in the behavioral health industry, in how group homes are regulated, sober living homes are regulated from city to city. Every city has different rules, and they're trying to get on top of it. But you need people to see something, say something, to bring
Yeah.
that awareness to the Department of Health.
One last question here for us. Brandy the bookworm said, I wonder if the neighbors are made aware that the house is a group home. So, I'm trying to think if I have received notices in the mail, and maybe any of you who are out there, maybe you can chime in on this as well. If there's like, it'll say within 5 miles, there was, somebody who was arrested for this crime and he just moved into the neighborhood. It'll say something like that. But our neighbors alerted to something like this, like a flyer that goes out or anything?
From all indications, it's not something that has to be done. We
Mm.
know that legislation has been passed to tighten up regulation and to make penalties more severe for entities that go unlicensed.
Yeah.
But that's the first piece of legislation that has been passed. Senate Bill 1308. We covered that. Has not gone into effect yet, but we'll see what happens in the next few months, this next year. We know that the crackdown has helped and some people have called it an overcorrection when you suspend hundreds of providers, because like I just mentioned, people need the help. But the
Yeah.
trust between the Native American community and the behavioral health industry, it has definitely declined.
I
That
think
trust
so.
because of what has been able to transpire. People have died. So,
Yeah.
this is a case here where someone has died, and now this man is in court facing the first-degree murder charge. Glenn Peaches is, and the state could seek the death penalty. We're going to see if that happens.
I think you bring up a really good point in that I think that community has lost some trust. And over the years, I lived in Flagstaff for a number
Mhm.
of years and covered Navajo Nation, the Hopi Reservation. And I think over the course of many decades, there's always been a little bit of lack of trust depending on what happens between governments and in communities. And this surely doesn't help,
Yeah.
something like this. Where can we find the rest of your investigations?
Good question. So tonight it airs at 9
Mhm.
p.m. We'll post that and to our website, to YouTube, Fox Local. But yeah, I really wanted to take this chance to speak with you in depth and on the
Yeah.
morning show, because I feel like nowadays in our world, when we put out these investigations, not all of you are just watching on your TV set. You're
Yeah.
watching everywhere. So I'm trying to find you and let you know that here's what we've been working on for weeks and months. So I appreciate the time.
You are everywhere, though.
I'm trying to
This
be.
is great. Listen, here's a couple of quick messages from some of you. Everybody is saying thank you, Justin, for all your work that you do and uncovering these types of things that are happening in our community. Sherry Nevada Pup says, I don't think they have to alert you for that. They do, however, have to alert for people that are on the child porn list. Brandy the Bookworm, I get flyers that they let us know if any kind of sexual assault convicts have moved in. You're absolutely right. Those are the information alerts that I generally receive. And so thank you so much for your time, Justin. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you
I
guys for
appreciate it.
supporting local investigative journalism.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. He works very hard, and it's good journalism, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to our back to our poll question, because this is happening. I have a big alert happening, some big news that just was announced. And Husky Mom, thank you. Yes, Justin will probably chime in some of these comments. He's done an amazing work with all of the investigations. So here's your poll question of the day. Should the United States have bombed Iran? Yes, Donald Trump made the right call and did what he needed to do. 84% of you say yes. No, that's 16% of you. We're going to go to our YouTube poll question now, and this one is getting so much response. Right now, 1.3 thousand votes. I just refreshed my screen. We've got 59 comments. It's neck and neck, 50 and 50% of you. 50% of you say yes, Trump made the right call. 50% of you say no, we could face dangerous consequences. Let me give you this big announcement here that just came through, because our next guest is that university professor out of Cornell. And so please throw in your questions, your comments in the chat. When Ron is off, it's me and you, baby. You are the co-host. You, the chat box, are the co-host. And we have a big announcement. This just happened this morning at the top of the hour. Out of Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, according to the Associated Press, Iran says it launched attack on U.S. forces at Qatar's Al Udeid Air Base. So we're going to have much more from that very special guest coming in a few moments. And, of course, we want you to vote in that poll. We have a lot of you chiming in, and let me just read a couple of these comments as we get ready for break here in just a quick second. So Angel Retke 965 says, I think there is more going on with Iran than the general public has been made aware of, and that is why we gave or have become involved. That is just my opinion, and that's what this is. We just want to hear your opinion and your thoughts on this very case. Matt Murdoch 5424 says, I have mixed feelings about it, but we shouldn't be afraid to act because Iran may retaliate. So let me go ahead and throw out both of these poll questions for you one more time. You can share your thoughts on our YouTube poll question, which is neck and neck right now, 1.3 thousand votes with plenty of comments. And then here is a look at that other poll question of the day, of course, fox10phoenix.com/poll. If you're just joining us, we'd love to hear from you. Chime in on the chat box. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll be right back. right, welcome back, everyone. There is another look at that poll question this morning, and 83% of you say yes, the president did the correct thing. No, 17% of you, and our poll question there on YouTube. And thank you for sharing your thoughts here in the chat box this morning. Okay, we are going to go to a very special human. He's a professor at Cornell University. Yes, I thought that would make you smile. You're a very smart man. We appreciate your time this morning. This is Barry Strauss, and he's. Are you in your office? Are you at Cornell University this morning, Professor?
No, I'm at the Hoover Institution in Palo Alto at Stanford University, where I'm also a senior fellow here.
Oh, wonderful. I'm sure you're enjoying your time there. It's probably nice there in Palo Alto, a beautiful part of California.
Very beautiful.
Also the author of Jews versus Rome. Thank you so much for your time this morning. And you've done extensive research on the Israel and Iran relations in that part of the country. Something that was I want to just mention this, of course, in the chat box, there are lots of concerns about this of World War III, that this could be the beginning. And then I also want to share just this quick announcement we just heard this morning about 30 minutes ago or so out of Dubai, that Iran says it launched an attack on U.S. forces. What can you share about your thoughts on what's happening this morning with these recent developments?
Well, it's not a surprise. Iran, I expected Iran to respond in some way, and apparently Iranian officials have told Americans, the New York Times reported, that this is a symbolic response, not meant to do much damage. They gave advance warning of it. So I think in a way that's the best case scenario. I'm sorry that they've attacked. I hope no one is hurt, but it looks like it's mostly for show, which is a good thing.
When you say for show,
Yes.
what does that mean? Does it mean that, you mentioned, of course, our thoughts and prayers are for the men and women who protect this country. But when you say for show, what does that mean?
Well, I think it means that the regime wanted to say, we haven't been humiliated. We're able to strike back. We don't do nothing when we've been attacked. But by the same token, they don't really want to attack American forces or the United States because they know that our response would be devastating, would be overwhelming if they did that. They did something similar after the killing of Qasem Soleimani in President Trump's first term. It was also a for-show response that didn't do any significant damage. As I said, I really hope no one is hurt.
So when you think about some of the concerns of the people who may be watching, we have viewers from all around the world who watch on our YouTube channel, and the thoughts or concerns of World War III. What do you say to someone with those types of concerns, with your extensive knowledge of the relations in that part of the world?
Well, it's a very dangerous world, but I don't think we're on the verge of World War III. There has been conflict there, conflict all over the world. Iran is one of several countries that are trying to revise, they're revisionist countries. They're trying to change the long peace that the United States has enforced, has brought to the world since World War II. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, they all have designs on their neighbors, as we've seen very clearly in Ukraine, in Israel, and in danger of Taiwan and South Korea. So Iran is just one of these states, and I think the United States has wisely responded and struck Iran's nuclear facilities to show that we don't want World War III to happen, that we're not going to make the mistakes of the past, and we are going to show American strength and say, hey guys, you got to take a step back. You can't continue to do what you've been doing.
I think you bring up a good point, because there are some Republicans who say, I'm not very pleased with what the president has decided to do, but most Republicans say yes. Is this, I guess we should go back and read that book, The Art of War, because I feel because you think you do something like this, of course, with the United States and President Trump, the decision over the weekend on Saturday to bomb those nuclear sites, in hoping that they don't do something. So it's really more of a strategic move, as opposed to maybe just doing something off of a whim.
Oh, certainly not a whim. This is something that the president and his administration has been thinking about for a long time. There's no doubt about that. So not a whim at all. And sometimes, in order to make the world safer, you have to use force, unfortunately. But that's the world in which we live. So I think the president's been pretty clear that he wants this to be followed, the action to be followed by peace. And I think that's a real possibility. I certainly hope so. So I understand why some people are upset about it, why they opposed it. After all, the United States has been burned in Iraq and Afghanistan. But those aren't the only wars. Those aren't the only precedents. And sometimes the use of force abroad is wise and appropriate. And I think this was one of those occasions.
All right, Professor Strauss, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it at Stanford, at Cornell, and author of Jews versus Rome. We thank you for your time this morning and for your insight into what's happening overseas. Hopefully we can chat again. I'm sure we will in the coming days. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about something a little bit lighter, if you will, and you can chime in the chat box if you have a quick moment as well. We are chatting with TMZ. They also cover very big stories, and we're chatting with TMZ this morning, talking about a couple of different issues that Eric Wilson. Eric, can you hear me, my friend? Oh, we're waiting for Eric. Okay, so let me give you a couple of quick little bits here on what we're covering with Eric. They also cover big headlines when it comes to a lot of different topics. I'm sure they have their own concerns and something. They tape their show every morning there in the TMZ newsroom, and I'm sure this what happened overseas in Israel is actually, one of the topics they're covering. A couple of the big stories that they wanted to share with us this morning as well, though. Eric Wilson, we're waiting to bring him on a Zoom this morning. Justin Bieber. That's one of the stories that they're covering. Haley is giving him the silent treatment, apparently. So maybe you can chime in. I mean, is the silent treatment, does that work in your relations with your significant other? If you want to chime in the chat box and let us know as we're waiting to bring them on, and then we'll chat with Eric. But yes, the silent treatment. Hi, Eric. Yes, we got you, buddy. Good morning. Can you hear me? Oh, he's working. We're working on the earpiece, but I think we got the mic set. Justin Bieber's relationship with his wife, Haley, seemingly not going great right now. So the silent treatment is one of the, ways in which Haley is trying to rectify the relationship with her husband. They're trying to fix something that's gone wrong, but we'll chat with him in just a quick moment. The other story they're going to talk to us about this morning, Jeff Bezos, his wedding, Venice protesters. Apparently, he got married to Lauren Sanchez. Their Italian wedding is turning up the heat for them and their A-list guests. So apparently they were overseas in Italy getting ready to share their vows and their love for one another with the public and the people who they invited to their wedding. I'm sure there were some big A-listers as well. And thank you to everybody who's chiming in the chat. I know you're all very thoughtful about what is happening overseas in Israel and Iran. And of course, Guadalupe Camarillo, thank you so much. I believe we may have Big D. Do we have him okay or no? Oh, Eric Wilson, can you hear me, my friend? Okay, we're working on it, I think. Oh, I can hear myself. Okay, we're going to try it out. Let's go back to the chat box and go. I'm going to pull this headset off because I can hear myself. So we're in full live mode. This is live TV on YouTube. Let's go right back to our poll question this morning. This is one of our big topics as we're waiting to see if we can get TMZ this morning. Many of you are still sharing your thoughts on what is happening overseas. Should the United States have bombed Iran? 80% of you, these numbers have now shifted. 80% of you say yes, Donald Trump made the right call and did what he needed to do. 20% of you say no, we may now face dangerous consequences for involving ourselves. Guadalupe Camarillo is chiming in this morning in the chat box. Good morning, Guadalupe. Brandy the bookworm. Yes, TMZ, we're working on getting them live this morning. But plenty of you are chiming in on this. Let's go to our other poll question here this morning as well. So Fox 10 Talks poll question, should the United States have bombed Iran? This one says at 1.3. I'm going to refresh this on my laptop here because I think the number's now gone up. Oh, there's Eric Wilson. Eric, can you hear me, buddy? Good morning. Oh, hold on one sec. I have mix minus. We're going to see if we can fix this here. Okay. Eric, give me a count to 10 for me, buddy.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
all right.
Perfect. Hey, James, Brian, Kyle.
Big D.
Thank you. Great job back there, guys, on getting this. Okay, Eric, it's so good to see you, my friend. Nice
You
to see you
too, you
once
too.
again.
Morning.
Okay, there's lots of people talking about some sort of wedding band, or maybe Haley didn't want to wear Justin's wedding band. What is happening? Trouble in marital bliss.
Yeah, it does seem that way. There are a lot of questions, a lot of peculiar. Why can't I say that word?
Go for it.
Strange
I,
behavior
I know where you're going.
between this couple. Yeah, Friday night, Haley was out with some friends. She was not wearing a ring, and that obviously caused a lot of speculation. And then on Saturday, she was back out and she was wearing the ring. But then yesterday, or this morning rather, Justin posted something pretty cryptic on Instagram, saying, "What do you do when someone doesn't or gives you the silent treatment? He has anxiety. He doesn't want to deal with the silent treatment." That was a post he made. So yeah, it seems a lot of questions, a lot of things are pointing to trouble in paradise for sure.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if I am going to wash dishes at home, Eric, I take my wedding ring off
Yeah.
usually, right?
Yeah.
And there have been a few times where I've come into work without my wedding ring and viewers will say, "Oh, what is happening?" And I'm like, I was just washing my dishes. Are there
Yeah, I
are there
mean,
other
that's
things that have happened, that make you think, "Okay, there really is trouble in paradise?"
I think if you're this much in the spotlight, if you're this big of a celebrity, if you are used to the scrutiny that these two are used to, I think in the middle of these rumors that you guys are not on good terms, you don't accidentally forget your wedding ring. I
That's
think
true.
this is maybe a sign to him to, straighten up and kind of get his attention, possibly.
Yes.
I'm just speculating, but I think it would be hard for someone like Haley Bieber to forget that item at home, I think.
That is so true. Okay, let's talk about the Bezos wedding. I'm guessing, do you think they put their wedding registry on Amazon?
I don't think so. At that point, do you even have a registry? Like, what is the point? I feel like, but yeah, they're causing a lot of tension in Venice with some locals. They're also causing some tension with fellow billionaires who like to go to Venice. And we've spoken to a lot of different people. A lot of people are happy that, the local businesses are thriving. Water taxis, venues, all that stuff, hotels is being sold out for this wedding, and people are excited for it. On the other hand, billionaires who vacation in Venice are apparently upset, God forbid, that they
Oh,
can't,
geez.
vacation. They have to go to another island somewhere in the Mediterranean while the wedding is going on. So there's tension between various groups, between the locals, business owners, billionaires, but it's looking to be a pretty spectacular wedding.
I think it's crazy that we're talking about multiple groups of billionaires
Yeah.
when most of the country in America, like people who live on Main Street, were like, did the price of eggs
Yeah.
everyone, to Fox 10 Talks here in Phoenix, Arizona. We appreciate you hanging with us on YouTube. There have been so many comments in the chat box. Ethan D, you said, I can't believe, or no, he says, I love how we went from Iran to Justin Bieber. Let's bring Eric Wilson back in. Eric, good morning. Can you hear me, buddy? Hold on one second. We're working on your audio.
Test.
Oh,
Hello?
yeah, we got you. Okay, your thoughts on that. I love how we went from
Yeah.
Iran to Justin Bieber.
I mean, that's literally our day here in the newsroom. I mean, we're on Diddy, then we're on Bieber, then we're on something light on a woman in a bikini, and then we're back to Trump and the war. So yeah, it's you got to keep your head on a swivel here for sure.
And I heard you. Is it peculiar? Is that what we decided?
Peculiar.
Yeah,
Peculiar. Okay, there we got it. Nailed it.
Yeah,
I was
you
close.
did. All right. As we're wrapping up, just one quick
Yeah.
minute. What are you covering there on Diddy, or what are you guys looking forward to covering later today?
Right now, it seems like a pretty chill day in the trial. As chill as a Diddy trial can get, I guess. But it looks like I believe testimony is wrapping up by Thursday. They'll do final arguments, and then yeah, it should be wrapped up next week.
All
So
right.
it's coming to an end.
Eric, thank you so much for your time this morning and
You're
for
welcome.
hanging with us. We appreciate it. Give the crew, tell them Celeste said hello. Tell
Will do.
Branson I said hi.
I'll tell Branson right now. I'll go bother him at his desk.
All right, buddy. All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to go back to the poll question, and we're also going to go to the big date, Dave Cam, as well. David, what are you seeing here when it comes to our poll question on YouTube? Oh, we can't hear you yet. Hold on one second. I can see James Aranda working.
Producer
his
Mike,
magic.
can you hear me okay?
Oh, we got you, buddy. Go ahead.
All right, and then see if you can bring up the video, James. That'd be great. We've got a lot of good comments on this poll today. Ginger Hadley says, Donnie made America an aggressor nation. Iran is not the only country that needs a regime change. Nick McConnell, 1291, says, I think those individuals that are afraid of the bombing of Iran think that now Iran will do something really bad to the U.S. that wouldn't have otherwise happened. The fallacy in their thinking is that the Iranian leaders have been killing Americans overseas for a long time now, and if given a nuclear weapon, would likely smuggle it into the U.S. to use here, as well as to wipe out Israel. Iran is not led by normal thugs wanting power and riches. You can make a deal with normal thugs. Just look at Saddam Hussein as an example. No, Iran is led by religious zealots who think blowing up the U.S. would get them credit in heaven. That is what people who fear we've stirred up a hornet's nest are missing. Iran was going to attack us regardless. Then BVR SQZR 3569 says, I believe it was a catch-22. Yes, it escalated the situation, but there was no better time to do it. Iran has no allies willing to help. On the other side, imagine that radical regime with nuclear capability. Now knowing how they would have provided a device to one of its proxy groups, it's definitely a double-edged sword. And then finally, Glenn Simpson says, Iran's nuclear enrichment program needed to be destroyed. Be glad we had the capability to do so with conventional munitions. No need for an invasion or tactical nuclear weapons. So, guys, great conversation.
Yeah.
Keep the comments coming and keep the conversation going.
Okay, we've got Husky Mom, Big B Miguel, and Louis Gonzalez, and Big D. Big D in the house. Okay, so this is really interesting. Dave, you walked into the studio this morning. We were chatting about this, and you were like, oh, my gosh, we have had so many comments on this topic. It has been on fire. How many votes do we have now? Because with every 10 minutes, we're seeing this huge boost.
Yeah, that's right. We've right now have 1.5 thousand votes on our YouTube poll, and the thing that's amazing about it is it's tied 50% saying yes, Trump made the right call and did what he needed to do. 50% saying no, we could face dangerous consequences for involving ourselves. So pretty incredible stuff.
It is. Where's your vote, Dave?
No
kidding,
comment.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I know. Yeah, no comment, right? Absolutely. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Big D in the house. Okay. You know who's also in the house is this beautiful lady, Isabella Fredrickson.
Hi.
Isabella, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Nice to see you too. We have some trending stories that we're sharing this morning,
do.
and let's talk about this ChatGPT. Do you use ChatGPT?
I do sometimes. Normally, I will write something up on my own, and if I'm looking for maybe a better synonym, like a better
Yeah.
descriptive word,
Ooh,
I'll ask
okay.
ChatGPT.
Almost like your electronic thesaurus type of
yes,
thing.
exactly,
Almost, right?
exactly.
Okay, listen to this story in your Health Watch. There's new research out from MIT, so the very smart individuals at MIT. The use of ChatGPT may actually lead to cognitive decline because you're not working as hard, maybe, or using your brain as much. Researchers asked 3 groups to write several SAT essays. One group used OpenAI, the second used a Google search engine, and the last group was the brain-only group. We'd love to hear your thoughts, by the way. Do you use ChatGPT? Oh, here's Johnny. Dave, did you get a haircut? It looks good, buddy. The chat box says it looks good. You're looking slick.
Very nice.
So researchers say those who used ChatGPT over a few months had the lowest brain engagement. The study claims using the chatbot can harm your critical thinking over time. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I can definitely understand that because I think if you immediately go to ChatGPT and you're
Yeah.
not putting any of your own thinking and thought processes into whatever you're trying to come up with, I can see why that would make your, cognitive decline a little bit.
I think so too. I like to use it though as like a brainstorming tool.
Yeah. I do know that you can use it to look up recipes. I went to a girl's
Oh.
birthday party this weekend, and one of the girls made this really good Australian zucchini slice dish. And I said,
Yum.
"Is this a family recipe?" And she said, "I just got it on ChatGPT, and it was
Oh,
really good."
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to have to try that. Let's talk about this teens tracking mom and dad. Do you use or do you track your parents? Let me ask you this.
They track me, but I can't track them. They did not share their location with me.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we're all on Life 360, and
Yeah.
so we can see each other's. And sometimes, like my phone will be running out of battery, and I'll get this alert from my mom, and she's
Okay.
like, "You need to charge up," because the icon is
Oh.
like a plug,
Oh,
into the
okay.
wall
Uh-huh.
on Life 360. So apparently, it's not just parents tracking the teens, but now teens are tracking the parents.
Yes.
So the story goes, I guess, like if they see mom or dad at Starbucks, they're like, "Hey, I see you're at Starbucks. Can you grab me a venti mocha 5-time espresso, whatever those drinks are called?"
Right. Frappuccino.
Right?
Yeah. Well, my little brother, he's 15, and I know he really wants to be able to track my parents. I don't know why. Just like, "Oh, where are you at?" But they're
that
like, "Nope,
could be why.
you're not going to track us."
Are you a Kindle reader, a physical book reader? What are you?
I'm a physical book reader.
Okay.
Mhm.
So do you like going to the bookstore?
I do.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
genre do you peruse?
I like to do romance sometimes. I
Oh,
also do
yeah.
enjoy reading just nonfiction. I like to learn, so
Yeah, I like a good
yeah.
historical fiction book.
Yes.
I'm reading one called The Alice Network right now. It's about women in World War II that were recruited by the French to spy on the Germans.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's really good. I'm kind of in the middle of it. But
Wow.
listen to this. We're talking about books this morning because Barnes & Noble, they're opening a new location. Did you
Really?
hear about this?
No, where at?
So this is at Town and Country
Okay.
off of like 20th Street and Camelback in the heart of downtown Phoenix.
Mhm.
Look, Ethan D says, "I do track my mom with Life 360. That's hilarious." And Isabel Louis Gonzalez says, "Hello."
Hi, Louie.
And Brandy the Bookworm says, "ChatGPT and AI is weirdly scary sometimes and fast,
Yes.
like wickedly fast."
Oh, I know.
But when it comes to books, it looks as though they're building. What does this say about where we are as a society? If now, which I think is a great thing, we're building bookstores.
Yes, I think that's incredible. I mean, it just goes to show that there's a need for another bookstore in the area. I have
Yes.
noticed a
A
lot
lot
of
of
people
people
are getting back into reading, like on social media. They're doing book reviews. So I think that's an awesome thing. I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
have to check out that new location.
I know.
We might have to hit it up together.
because
Because
I
I
think
think
they
they
have
have
a
a
cafe
cafe
inside.
I was just gonna say, is there a coffee shop inside? Because then we have to go. Our
cold
cold brew with cinnamon sounds perfect.
Yes, it is. So Brandy the Bookworm, yes,
yes.
Life 360 is free. There is a paid for version that'll give you some much more research and on like how fast your teen is driving and things like that.
Mhm.
But it is absolutely free. Guadalupe Camarillo says, "I track my boyfriend all the time." That's
Mm.
hilarious. And then let's see. Yeah, books, her wheelhouse, Brandy the Bookworm. That's her name, by the way.
I know. I
Brandy the-
love it. I love that username.
All right, let's talk about Tesla and Robotaxis in Austin. What are your thoughts on Waymos and Robotaxi ideas?
Well, some advice for the people. I personally love Waymos because they're cheaper than Lyfts or Ubers. So,
Oh, that's a good
if I need to
tip.
order a car, say that a Lyft is $20 and a Uber is $25, Waymo usually ends up being only around 15, 16 bucks.
Really?
So Waymo saves some money, and you don't have to talk to a driver if you don't want to.
And don't you get to put your own music on? I've driven in one time, but it was hard for me to remember. I think you can put your own music in there.
You can. There's a whole playlist. You can choose all your settings. It's very accommodating.
There was one time where my son, it was at my daughter's school, and there was one of her friends who was trying to open the door, like, because you open the door through the app.
Yeah.
And I asked my daughter, I said, does Darcy need a ride home? She's like, no, she's taking the Waymo home. And I was like, oh, okay. Because it looked like she was having trouble opening the door, and the door wouldn't open to the Waymo.
Oh, that's scary.
And so she was stuck there on the side of the road.
No.
I felt so bad. I was like, oh my gosh, she's only 13.
Oh. Well, I hope she got in okay.
I know, those Robotaxis, you never know. But apparently, when it comes to Robotaxis, the reason we're doing this story and the reason we're talking about Waymo, Tesla is there testing out their self-driving vehicles, and they're putting them to work on the streets of Austin in the Texas capital. And so they are competing now with Waymo. They're not fully on their own yet. They have people still in them to kind of, make sure that they don't crash into one another or do anything crazy. But they're now on the roadway in Austin, Texas. Look
Some
who joins us
competition.
now. Good morning, my friend.
Morning.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Welcome
I was like, do
back.
I remember how to do all this?
Oh, yeah, you do.
I know. Hold on.
Yeah,
My
it'll be
seat's
good.
too low. Got to raise
There
it
you
up
go.
a little.
I
There
know,
we
it's
go.
like a little booster, huh?
It is. You need it.
Remember boosters like in restaurants, like
Yeah.
little booster seats?
Where you had to ask for those when you were a kid?
Yeah. So what do you got coming up on the show here in a couple minutes?
Oh, man, it is jam-packed. We have Richard Sines waiting on the line. We're going to talk sports because some big trades with KD yesterday. Had some folks here in the Valley kind of asking some questions about what's going on there with the team. Plus, we're going to talk about Oklahoma City winning yesterday, so we're going to talk with that. And then, obviously, within just the past hour or so, some of the latest information coming out of the Middle East, where it appears that Iran is now firing missiles at some U.S. bases in Qatar. So we're going to talk about that with some of the latest images and information that we're getting here this morning. Looks like the good news that the majority of these missiles going into some of those U.S. air bases have been intercepted, but now comes the question, what's next? So we're going to try and dive into that a little bit at 11 as well.
All right. Well, stick with Fox 10 Talks with Ty and Anita, or Anita and Ty, as we like to say. And Isabella, thank you so much for joining too. And thank all of you for joining in on the chat box as well. And by the way, Brandy the Bookworm, yes, you can meet Isabella and I at the new Barnes & Noble. We would love to chat with you over a very good book. You're a book
And a
lover.
latte.
And a latte.
Yes, a coffee. That would be so fun.
And Ty might come, and so might Anita.
Right?
We'll all
Anita's
be
a big reader, too.
Yes,
so.
yeah.
Oh,
We're all big
perfect.
readers. That
We
means
are.
Anita's like really smart.
She is.
Smart. She's very, very smart. All right.
last full week of June. Ty is back and discombobulated. I offered to press the buttons.
Usual.
I didn't hit any wrong buttons last week.
I'm just trying to. Here we go. We got a lot going on here this morning.
We do have a lot going on. There's a lot going on at the Fox 10 Talk Studio as well as the world, and that's what we're going to begin with. We had the big missile strikes
over the weekend,
and that happened technically Saturday afternoon is when we started receiving information about that. And then people have really been waiting to see how Iran is going to, if they're going to counteract, and they have. They now confirmed that missile attacks on U.S. military base in Qatar have been completed.
So the good news in all of this, and we're getting multiple sources here this morning from multiple different news outlets saying that the majority of these missiles that were shot from Iran into Qatar, mainly focusing on all of those U.S. bases. And I was just doing a little research. One of the largest U.S. bases that we have is in Qatar, and that's where they were focusing all of this. It appears to see that all of those have been intercepted. I was looking at this, and this was kind of something that they, anticipated might be happening. So in kind of, I guess, response to potential issues, they moved a lot of those assets, planes out of the region so that there was not going to be potentially any, I guess, losses when it comes to some of those very expensive military aircraft. So that base that is in Qatar serves as the headquarters and logistics base for U.S. operations in Iraq, and also includes the longest air landing strip within the entire Gulf region. So the big question now is what happens next?
Well, Iran put out a statement. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, so the IRGC, earlier released a statement claiming that it launched a devastating and powerful missile attack in that area. And they said that, quote, they will not leave any attack on its territorial integrity, sovereignty, and national security unanswered under any circumstances. So that's according to that statement. Those of you at home, I would love to hear from you guys. Brandy, the bookworm, good morning to you. Linda, good morning to you. I'm wondering, as you were watching, if you were watching that news over the weekend, what were you thinking? And what were your thoughts? What were your concerns, if any? And, as everything was unfolding, obviously, life. We want to keep all of our troops out there safe. That's the most important thing. How is that going to affect us here? A lot of people talking about things like gas prices.
So before we get to gas prices real quick, I just wanted to talk about this because this is the big chatter right now is what happens next after Iran has retaliated on what the United States did. So what's going to be the White House response? So will they say Iran got its revenge, move on? Or will President Trump respond to these attacks that happened today? So I guess that's kind of the big takeaway that we're all going to have to be watching here as this all unfolds here on this Monday morning. So right now, Fox News is on. We've kind of taken over what Fox News is putting out on Channel 10. So if you want to switch over, continue watching. You can watch that right now. Of course, we're going to continue to follow that throughout the rest of the day. But as you mentioned, this could potentially affect our gas prices here at home.
Yeah, so we've been watching that all day, keeping a really close eye on how these strikes against Iran are going to impact the U.S. economy. Oil prices, they say, are spiking following the attack. Then they since came down, though. So many experts are saying that they do believe the higher gas prices are likely, but they don't know exactly how much, and they don't necessarily think just how much it's going to be. Here's the thing, though. There are fears that we have the Strait of Hormuz, which is where all the big oil takers flow in and out of. There's concern that Iran, which controls that, is going to close that down. But you have to also keep in mind that's what they use as well.
Sure.
And so they're not going to, I guess, a double-edged sword. They're not going to shut off their economy. We did take a look at some gas price averages right now for you.
So there they are. You got Tucson, $3.03 a gallon. Yuma, $2.97. Scottsdale, $3.52. Glendale, $3.44. And Flagstaff at $3.20.
We have another graphic that shows you what it was like about a week ago.
Last year.
Last year, thank you. So that's a year ago.
Yeah. So there's the averages from last year. So the comparisons looks like they're continuing to spike just a little bit. So
Yeah.
we're, of course, going to follow that throughout
Yeah.
the rest of the day as well.
Yeah, let's see if we have any comments. Husky Mom says the foreign situation is very unsettling, very scary. And that's what a lot of people are saying. We had some protests taking place here in the Valley. And the one thing that everybody agreed on was that peace in the Middle East can be reached. However, where everyone differed in opinion was how it can be reached. So there are people on both sides of the aisle, because you have Democrats and Republicans who agree with this airstrike that took place, and then you have those who say it was the wrong thing to do. Boynton Clune, I hope I'm saying that right, says our gas prices are still high because of Hobbs buying from California. Those prices do go up a lot in California, and then we have the summer blend as well. So that's something to think about and something to watch as well.
All right, should we move on to something a little more lighthearted here on a Monday?
That is definitely a stressful topic, isn't it?
It is.
But you know what? For sports fans, for Phoenix Suns fans, this next topic is also kind of stressful, right?
And exciting at the same time.
Okay.
So we're bringing in our BFF,
Hey.
Richard. Hey, Richard, good morning.
Hi. We
Need
can't hear
you.
you. There
Got
you
him.
are.
Now we got you.
That's quite the setup you have back there. Fancy.
Well, thank you.
That's why we pay you the big bucks.
Nothing but the best for you guys.
Thank you. All right, so let's start with kind of, I guess it was a shock that KD got traded. Let's start with some Valley news.
But was it a shock?
Well, yeah, that's what I want to get
Was
into.
it?
No, not really, because we knew the Suns were trying to trade him. We knew he wanted to be traded to the point where he told the Phoenix Suns, look, these are the three teams I want to go to. And it was the San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Rockets, and the Miami Heat. And so that kind of made it interesting for the Suns because they only had three teams to deal with, where other teams were kind of interested. But KD said, okay, I don't want to go there, and kind of nixed the deal because, like, take example, Minnesota, for example, right? They were interested. They were willing to give the Suns a pretty good package for Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant has only 1 year left on his contract. And he was saying, look, if I go there, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to be there for 1 year, then I'm gone. So then Minnesota's like, well, maybe we shouldn't sweeten the deal so much if we're only going to have the guy for 1 year. So that kind of gave KD some control on where he would end up going.
Okay, Richard, explain this to us, to people who are not familiar with this entire process. He's still under contract, and that's why he can't just pick and choose who he goes to play for. The Suns get to control that, and you know what you just broke down, why those three teams.
Exactly. He's not a free agent. If he was a free agent, he was free to go with anybody. He had 1 year left on his contract with the Phoenix Suns. So the Suns kind of could control where he went. But at the same time, because KD only had 1 year left on his contract, he could kind of control where he was going to go because the team that's going to trade for him would want him to stay for more than 1 year.
So they'll give him a new contract.
Say that again?
They'll give him a new contract.
Exactly. But if he doesn't want to sign the new contract with that team, then why would they trade for him? So he was saying the only three teams I would be willing to sign a new contract with is San Antonio, Houston, and Miami. That's why when Minnesota came in the picture, he said, if I go there, it's going to be for 1 year, 1 year only, and that's it. So if you're Minnesota, why would you give up a lot for a guy you're only going to rent for 1 year and won't be happy there for that year anyway?
So are they buying out his contract from the Phoenix Suns? Obviously,
No,
he's
they're
not
just taking on the contract, and then they're going to extend that contract.
Richard, how, I guess, kind of break this down for us. Is this unusual that a player can be like, make stipulations, be like, I only want to be traded for XYZ city?
In the past, it was. Lately, that's not the case. And a lot of guys kind of do this on purpose, knowing that, look, I want to control where I go. I want to go to a team that I think has a chance to win. In Kevin Durant's case, it was he played college ball at the University of Texas. He's from the DC area. I think, look, I'm going to go back to Texas, where I'm familiar with. Houston was the number 2 seed in the West, and I'll have a chance to win as well.
All right, here's a loaded question from Husky Mom. Why did he want to leave Phoenix?
It was too hot.
But
well, part of it was the Suns tried to trade him before the trade deadline, and it didn't work out.
Why did they try to trade him?
Well, because it wasn't working out. They only won 36 games this year. They weren't going to make the playoffs. You could tell the chemistry was just off. And it's kind of like a couple that is broken up already, but they have to wait for the lease on the apartment to end before they can both move on.
They have to wait for their kids to go to college.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a matter of time before the two parties, right? Kevin Durant and the Suns parted ways.
So Brandy the Bookworm says Katie is such a great piece of the Suns. It's a shame to see him go. So we had a reporter who did an interview with him right after the news broke, and he's like, "Is it a shame? Because the people of Phoenix didn't want me, and I don't want to be here. So we both get what we want."
Yeah, and that was kind of an interesting deal where he was doing an event for Fanatics when the trade was announced, and that's very rare that you get to hear from a guy the day he gets traded. Usually it's like, oh wow, and then the guy's in hiding, and then they have a big press conference with the new team. But this happened while he was at the event, so we got to talk about it. And yeah, the reporter Kay Adams was like, "There's a lot of heartbroken Suns fans." He goes, "No, I doubt that." And she was like, "Well, there's one right there." And he was kind of like, "Well, Suns fans wanted me out. I want it out. It's over. Blah blah blah." So he's very active on social media. He listens to what a lot of people say, and he's a little more sensitive than most players. So I think he kind of got his feelings hurt that they tried to trade him, and then he heard all the negative comments about him by some Suns fans. You know how fans can be on social media, and so I think he was like, you know what, I'm done with Phoenix, which is interesting because when he got to Phoenix, he kind of controlled where he went. He said, "That's the only team I want to go to is Phoenix." So the Suns were like so flattered that the great Kevin Durant actually wanted to come here, and then it didn't work out.
So what happens to the Suns now?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ty, because a lot of people are kind of criticizing what the Suns got in return for Kevin Durant, right? So the Houston Rockets said, okay, we'll take Kevin Durant, but we'll give you this. We'll give you the number 10 pick in the draft, which is on Wednesday, which is, a good pick, top 10 pick. They gave him two players in Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, both starters on their team. And then they gave him 5 second-round picks over the next couple of years. So that seems like a pretty good haul, but a lot of people saying that's not enough for Kevin Durant. And then they look at the roster right now and they say, oh, I don't know how this team's going to play on opening. Well, it's still a work in progress. The Suns could use some of those picks to acquire a veteran. They could use some of those players they got to acquire another guy or move up in the draft. This is not over yet for the Suns. They're still a work in progress. They still got a lot of moves to make. I think they can make a move before the draft tips off on Wednesday and maybe make another move during the draft. So you never know. Anita, you're a car gal, right? You have an old classic car. This kind of reminds me of when I was getting my MG painted and I went to go see the car.
10 seconds.
We got 10 seconds, Richard. Sorry.
It was taken apart. And I'm like, oh my God, what are they doing?
Right. And then it was put back together. We'll see you tonight.
All right, 5 seconds. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Ty's not allowed to hit buttons anymore.
Why?
taking
I'm
over
doing
tomorrow.
fine.
We were talking about gas prices earlier. Linda says that Safford is $3.09, and Brandy the bookworm said, "Wow, Yuma's at $2.97." They have some family in that area as well. And then Husky Mom said, "Kind of sounds like Kevin Durant is stomping his feet and pouting like a kid." Ouch.
We won't dive into
We're
that
not
one
gonna.
anymore.
Yeah. So okay. Now we're going to talk about something really lighthearted and fun.
We need this on a
You might
Monday.
might need gas money for this one.
You do. Josh Coddington is here from the Arizona office of tourism.
Sure.
I always want to call it Department of Tourism, but it's an office, of
It's
tourism.
just like a
I'm
little
glad you wore the
room.
shirt.
Yeah, make
it's
sure-
a good
make sure-
reminder for
All we
me.
need is a name tag on the other side. I'm just kidding.
Josh,
how have you been?
I've been doing great, guys. We really love promoting Arizona during all times of the year. You know, even when it's warm outside.
Yes.
You know, our state is still very visitable, and
There's
cool
some
place to
cool
go.
spots, and there's some really nice. I call them swimming holes, but like I've seen some people posting about some great waterfalls.
Did you see our reporter Lindsay Regis?
Yeah.
I want to go to where I forgot
I need
where
to
she
find
was.
out where she went. Can we look it up?
Hold
while-
on. You guys chat amongst
Where,
yourselves. So I'm gonna
where
look at her.
where do you go this time of year? Sherry Nevada Pup.
Oops.
Gas is $3.09 in Kingman, by the way.
Oh,
That's
all
not
right,
bad.
There we go. All right.
Hey, because if you're taking Kingman up to Wiki Up in that area.
I mean, yeah. If you Kingman is a great place to stop. It's on both the original Route 66 and the new Route 66, or the new Route 66 being I-40, basically. So
that's her photo. Look at her swimming.
I mean, that's
That's
a
this-
Okay,
did she
beautiful,
take that
beautiful
It
place.
says
recently?
the crack at Wet Beaver Creek.
Yep,
Where's that?
that is
The crack at Wet Beaver Creek.
How do we? Where's Wet Beaver Creek?
That is in generally northwestern Arizona. So it's a beautiful place. It's the hike. It's a great hike to get there. I haven't been there myself, but I've definitely seen a number of pictures of it. And it's kind of one of those things where you have a great hike, and then you get to the end, and you really want to jump
Yeah,
in, you know,
because you're all hot and sweaty.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, what's the hike like, and can you do it this time of year?
I would say if you are going to do any type of hikes this year in the central or southern part of the state, you do them in the morning. Of course, northern Arizona is totally different ballgame. So, you know, certainly the temperatures are less there. And so as long as you are bringing ample water when you hike and bringing shade from the sun, no matter how hot it is, you should be all right.
It's 1 hour and 42 minutes up on the I-17. So
There you go.
before you hit Sedona, after Prescott.
Yeah.
That's not terrible.
No.
There you go.
It's a beautiful area.
I'm
up
going to
there,
have
too.
to try that.
Yeah, those are like our hidden gems.
I
want to
jump into that
don't
swimming
believe
hole.
until you see some pictures from it. And
Absolutely.
you're like, wow, that's right here in Arizona.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right, so what are we talking about today? Because you guys are always doing some really cool stuff, and,
Yeah.
and you've got you were on, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? You came on the morning show, and you guys were talking about an app. It's not necessarily an app that's on your phone, but kind of an app that's embedded in your website. That's really cool, right?
Yeah, so it works like an app in that you can get it on your phone. It gets sent through a text message to your phone. You just sign up on our website. It takes like a minute. You sign up, it gets sent to your phone via text message, and then you bring it up, and it shows you how to travel to something specific in Arizona. And so this one we have here is our Route 66 app, and we've had this for about a year, and I'm sharing it today because it is awesome, and because we have Route 66's centennial coming up next year. And if you want to talk about summer road trips, Route 66 is really the way to go. And one of my favorite things about it is that it shows you a map.
Look at that. That is cool.
It puts us, like, you can see that we are on this map right now in Phoenix. See the blue dot?
Oh, how fun is
But
that?
it shows you all these little destinations right across Route 66. And so even if you're not necessarily planning on it, you can bring it up when you're there, and it'll show you like, hey, this is a cool thing.
And
This is a
you
cool
might
thing.
last minute say, you know what, we need a break. We're going to
Let's
stop.
go do something.
We have
Yeah.
some questions for you. Brandy, the bookworm, says, Josh, where's a good place to go for someone who's disabled like me? And she also says, not hiking, but fun, interesting places in AZ.
Well, that is a really great question, and it kind of depends on what part of the state you want to go to. One place I know that is very friendly and forward as far as providing access to all people really is the city of Mesa.
Oh,
Mesa is great, and their tourism organization there, Visit Mesa, they have done a ton of work in working with their businesses in the city to make sure that they provide access to all.
I'm not sure where Brandy the Bookworm is located. And then Husky Mom is asking, what is the name of that app? One more time, please.
The app is called Rock the Route, Route
Rock
66.
the Route, okay.
And basically, to find it, just go to our website, visitarizona.com, and type in Experience Passes. And you'll come to a page. We actually have 4 of these passes, with the Route 66 one being one of them.
That's so amazing.
And the app itself is free. But again, some of these locations that you put on there, there might be a nominal fee to go, an entrance fee.
For sure. Fee. Yes, using the app is free. It's free to get on your phone. But if there's an entrance fee or a fee to do some type of activity, you're still responsible for that part of it.
But you know what's so cool is because, I was looking at that app just the other day. There's like kind of hidden treasures, some places that you maybe didn't even know about. So if you are heading maybe up to some place that you're familiar with, you can get on there and be like, oh, wait, I didn't know this was just a couple exits down. Let's go visit that.
Yeah, and that's really kind of the idea, and you really hit the nail on the head, is that this app, I'll tell you what it doesn't have, is it's not like restaurants and hotels.
Sure.
Okay, so that's not what this app is. This app is more of like your quirky type things, or the sites you want to see, or maybe if you want to go get a unique picture of something.
Oh, fun.
Because Route 66 has interesting things,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
That people have just built there over time. I mean, they have 25-foot tall dinosaurs in Holbrook.
Tell me what it's called again.
We're going to put it in the chat so people can find it.
It's
they did it for us. VisitArizona.com.
VisitArizona.com,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'm looking up that app, though.
Yeah, look it
I
up.
see.
And you'll see the page there. The page is called Experience Passes.
Okay.
And we have 4 of them, actually. And Route 66 is one. We also have one for parks. State and national parks in Arizona. We have one called
experiences.
Yeah, we have one called Spooktacular.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Which is like haunted houses.
That's around the
haunted
corner.
tours. Yeah, it's coming up, and that one we designed it to be both usable, of course, for coming into Halloween, but also throughout the rest of the year, because Arizona has a bunch of great like ghost tours and things you can do.
Oh, that's cool.
So and the ghosts work all year. They're not.
They do not take any time off.
They don't care about the heat.
They don't care about the heat. They don't need sleep, and they don't need food.
They are unaffected by those things.
I've always wanted to do one of those Jerome ghost
Me
tours
too.
because I think that'd be so cool. And stay in that haunted. What's that hotel? The famous hotel up there? No, it's slipping my mind.
It's called the Jerome Grand Hotel, is the one you're thinking of.
Well, that's
I've driven. So we went to Jerome. We took my parents up, and we went to that burger place. There's a famous burger place, and then we went up to the hotel, and we were just standing in the lobby, and one of the lovely women who works there was going in the elevator. So we just kind of followed her in, even though it says elevators are for guests. We just started chatting and said, hi, how are you?
Don't break the rules, you guys.
Well, I mean, and we started chatting, and I just asked her a couple questions. She goes, come with me. She took us to the top floor, walked us through, and then we went to and she pointed out things that allegedly happened or things that allegedly do happen and things that she has seen and heard on each floor as we so we would like peek out the elevator and she'd point out rooms. There's definitely a really neat aura to the place. But that's what's so cool is that Brandy the Bookworm says she lives in North Phoenix, but even a trip to Mesa is a fun visit.
Their little downtown's cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
And what's that music store? Oh gosh, now I keep asking.
The
that
music
cool
store,
music
and
instrument
they
store.
have some really great
And
restaurants.
the bakery.
Yeah, good coffee shops.
But you don't have to go. You don't have to do a 3-hour drive and get a hotel room. You could do a day. You could do a couple of hours.
For sure.
What about 4th of July?
Ooh, 4th of July. So it's coming right up, right? And we know. And one of the things that I would love to do this year, personally, and I would recommend other people do it, is Flagstaff.
I knew you were going there.
Is definitely doing a super cool drone show this year. And so, I mean, and I saw an example of these drones when Visit Glendale relaunched itself. They did a show with this same drone company. And I mean, it is really spectacular. And I think just seeing those over Flagstaff, I think it'll be awesome. And of course, it'll be safe since there will be no fireworks in the sky. So that's my number one recommendation.
Maybe even a little cooler as well.
Yeah. And of course, you have nice temperatures there. Yeah. So, but I always love the Valley stuff too. I mean, just so many communities do their own 4th of July stuff. So
I love the feeling of a small town 4th of July, though.
too.
Like
Right?
Prescott is so fun, and they always have the rodeo kind of going on at that time of the year. Flagstaff is always fun. So yeah, those are some cool places. What else you got on your list? You got a whole list over here.
I got a whole list. I always have a huge list.
Do you want to look at some video? I think we have some video.
I do have some pictures, unless you guys.
Oh no, I want to see. We want to see pictures.
So right there.
Oh, there's the Route 66.
Winslow. This is Winslow, Arizona.
How cute is that?
Right? And one like famous thing that everyone knows.
Standing on the corner of Winslow, Arizona. I don't know.
That was not quite the tune, but it was close.
Look at the guy right there.
Deaf.
He is standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona.
I love
right there. That's a statue. His name is Easy, and he is there to greet you if you want to take your picture.
Fun.
Now, this is kind of classic Route 66 right here. This is the Hackberry General Store, which is on the original Route 66.
Look how
in
cute
Arizona.
that is.
And this is like the
Stepping
old
back in
gas
time.
pumps, the aluminum signs, and the place is covered with patches and stickers and dollar bills even of people who have traveled there and left those things. So not only is it Route 66 stuff, but it's also kind of like a time capsule of the travelers who have been there. And make no mistake, Route 66 is an international traveler.
Yes,
it sure is.
So that's a 3-hour drive from Phoenix to Winslow. You take the I-17 to the 87 North. So maybe find a cute little hotel room, stay the night, and then take your time. You could go back through to Flagstaff, go over to Flagstaff, go down into Sedona, and then head back into town. I used to live, I'm from Illinois, but I lived in Springfield, Illinois for a while. And Route 66, what a big deal, right?
Right.
And that is what's so neat. It's historical, but it really does physically bring us all together, and emotionally too, because you have so many memories from there to here to there.
I mean, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And one of the cool things about Arizona is that we have the longest remaining stretch of original Route 66 in Arizona, which is called Historic Route 66 in Arizona. And it goes from Kingman kind of up north through Hackberry, which I mentioned, through Peach Springs, which is almost touches the Grand Canyon. And then there's the route right there. And then goes down through Seligman. And so it's really a great way to kind of take a departure from the I-40, which is what the Route 66 became. And check it out, Kingman Visitor Center. Look at that shield right there on the ground.
Cool.
You can actually drive your car through that, and you can take a picture
of
your
video
car.
as you're driving
cool.
through.
Yeah,
Wow.
How fun.
Yeah, it says Hackberry, Winslow, Williams, Kingman, Seligman, Oatman, Peach Springs, and Holbrook are along that original route.
So yeah,
wow,
that's
a lot
it's
to
very
see.
Cool. And Arizona also has Petrified Forest, which is the only national park that Route 66 goes through.
Wow.
So we claim our Route 66 bona fides.
You're so much fun that we only have 30
I
seconds.
know. We always start talking and then time flies, Josh.
What's that website one more time?
So it's visitarizona.com. I always share that it's not just for visitors, it's for residents too.
Yeah.
It is cool. You can just kind of start playing around and finding all these kind of hidden treasures out there.
You can definitely rabbit hole that.
Our friends at home are still talking about that hotel in Jerome.
We might have to go up there.
I think that we're going to have to bring someone in.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.